Hi, my name is Rhett Russo. I'm an architect and designer from the United States, and I'm here at the Florence Biennale presenting my work entitled The Dune Jars, which are transparent porcelain vessels that have been designed through the aid of computation and very traditional digital, also fabrication methods using porcelain and ceramic. So when I think of Florence, one of the things that comes to mind is the notion of the market and the idea that it is a place where the East and West are brought together, and the kind of cultural diversity and otherness that's part of that energy makes for an art world and a place that is unlike no other place in the world. So one of the themes of the Biennale is obviously the influence and similitude in the work of Leonardo da Vinci. And I think the importance of his work and his influence on my thinking has always been that there's something not only beautiful about nature, but there's a reverence and a sort of mathematical precision that was born in his work, and it led to a whole different way of thinking about abstraction. And that's important for me as an artist. The work that I've exhibited here, the Dune Jars, are a collection of porcelain vessels, and they come and sort of emerge out of the history of working for many years with porcelain as a material which is somewhat magical in a way. It has very unique properties, and one of the things is it's very fluid when it's a granular material. So early on in my work, this idea of the fluidity of the material and its ability to organize into a very particular geometry was something that I worked for many years to develop as a kind of computational analog. And in the Dune Jars, what I'm able to do through working digitally is to project this geometric set of dunes onto the surface of the jars. Normally this process would not be possible to do without the aid of computation. And as a series of projections, I'm able to work on the material without the resistance of the porcelain being in the way. So it allows me to work on the inside and the outside of the jars at the same time and organize these projections on the surface in a way that would not be physically possible. One of the other things that is interesting about the material is that when it's fired at a high temperature, it becomes very much like glass. And this is unique in the sense that the jars are designed to amplify light from the inside. So any variation in the thickness of the material or the curvature of the surface allows light to be transformed as it passes through the porcelain. And this produces a whole series of very unique patterns on the surface of the jar. So where the porcelain is very thin or very thick, less or more light comes through the surface. So while I spend a lot of time working digitally and developing the work prior to working in the ceramic, each one of the pieces are unique, and a lot of time is made working on the ceramic manually by hand, piercing it and also finishing it in such a way that the surface not only becomes reflective in certain areas, but it becomes flat in other areas. And depending on the color of the light that's put through, the porcelain becomes very orange and fire red in certain places. So it looks in a way as if it's still under transformation of being fired. And this way it's possible to work on the surface without glazing it, but still be able to change the color of each piece. I think what makes the work contemporary is that in a time where there's so much anxiety around the notion of climate change and the onset of the Anthropocene, there's a sense here that I hope there can be something beautiful and transformative about nature that not only changes the way we think about the position that we're in, but holds a set of secrets that I hope unfold as the viewer gets closer to the work. I think the word that describes my experience here is, in a strange way, richness. There's a beauty to almost every aspect of Italian culture that I find captivating. I mean, the depth of the city and the color, and also the kind of diversity that's been on display here at the Biennale is something that's just part of being here in Florence. It's a very unique place.